You are sitting across a small table in a crowded coffee shop. The ambient noise is a blur. Right in front of you, a friend is crying. They are pouring their heart out, venting about the exact same self-inflicted crisis for the 100th time. The same toxic dynamic, the same completely avoidable mistake. 5 years ago, this scene would have destroyed you. Your chest would tighten. You would absorb their pain like a sponge, lose sleep trying to map out a logical rescue plan, and sacrifice your own peace just to fix their chaos. But today you feel absolutely nothing. You are just watching their mouth move. You nod at the right intervals, your face flawlessly arranged in a mask of polite concern. But behind your eyes, your brain is performing cold, mathematical calculations. How many more minutes until I can reasonably excuse myself, go home, and just sit in absolute silence? There is no anger in your chest. There is no pity either. There is just an endless echoing void. The emotional circuits are completely dead. Later on the quiet drive home, the exhaustion sets in. And in the silence of your car, a dark, whispering thought creeps into your mind. A question that terrifies you. What is wrong with me? Have I lost my humanity? Did I actually become a monster? A sociopath? You aren't a monster. And you definitely aren't a sociopath. You are experiencing a devastating psychological phenomenon. And to understand it, we need to look at what happens when a highly analytical mind is forced to care too much for far too long. Let's get one thing clinically straight. A true sociopath is born with an empty room. Their emotional tank was bone dry from day one. They never possessed the neurological capacity to care. You are the exact opposite. You were born with a tank that was constantly overflowing. For decades, you operated as the designated emotional sponge for your family, your friends, and every chaotic, broken person who naturally gravitated toward your quiet, observant strength. You didn't lack empathy. You had an agonizing overabundance of it, allowing toxic environments to siphon your energy until the well completely dried up. But here is where your specific cognitive architecture changes the game entirely. You don't possess standard surface-level empathy. As a highly analytical, often neurodivergent mind, you experience what we can call logical empathy. When someone brings you a problem, you don't just sit there, hold their hand, and offer useless platitudes like, everything happens for a reason. Your brain doesn't work that way. Instead, your mind instantly treats their pain as a complex, high-stakes mathematical equation. You automatically analyze the behavioral variables, map out their destructive patterns, and reverse engineer their crisis to hand them the absolute best, most logical way out. And this is where the invisible trauma begins. Imagine the sheer, agonizing psychological exhaustion of handing someone 10 brilliant, perfectly logical solutions to their misery. You draw them a map out of their own hell, but instead of taking action, they ignore every single piece of advice. They walk right back into the same toxic dynamic, repeat the exact same predictable mistake, and then return to your door, crying about the exact same outcome. They don't want solutions. They want an audience. After years of being trapped in this parasitic loop, your brain undergoes a radical biological shift. You enter a state of severe compassion fatigue. This isn't just being annoyed or tired. It is a profound cellular depletion of your emotional reserves. Your analytical brain, which is hardwired to prioritize your survival and efficiency above all else, finally runs the numbers. It objectively categorizes this person, and eventually, most of society, as a psychological black hole. They are consuming your vital mental RAM and returning zero value. To prevent a total systemic failure, your central nervous system initiates a heavy psychological defense mechanism known as emotional blunting. It is an involuntary, subconscious numbing. Your brain literally alters its neurochemical response to stop you from feeling the pain of others. Why? Because if you continue to absorb their self-inflicted chaos, your own sanity will collapse. Your newfound coldness is not an act of malice. It is an act of extreme biological self-preservation. You haven't lost your ability to care. Your system has simply recognized a fatal external overload. And to understand exactly how this brutal shutdown operates in real time, we have to look inside the hidden machinery of your mind. We have to look at what happens when the cognitive circuit breaker finally trips. Imagine your mind not as a soft, emotional space, but as a high-precision engine room. At the center of this room stands a massive industrial electrical panel, your cognitive circuit breaker. In the earlier chapters of your life, you were an open system. You allowed dozens of thick, black, parasitic cables to plug directly into your board. These were the people you loved, the strangers you pitied, and the toxic personalities you tried to solve. Every time one of them spiraled into a crisis, a surge of raw, irrational electricity shot through your wires. You can see the scene now. Your control room is bathed in a frantic, strobing red light, Alarms are screaming. The air smells like ozone and scorched insulation. The irrationality of the world is a massive power surge that your system was never designed to handle. You are vibrating under the strain of trying to process the pain of people who refuse to be saved. Your brain, the ultimate survival machine, looks at the gauges. It sees your mental RAM at 99%. It sees your core temperature rising to the point of permanent neurological damage. It realizes that if you continue to care for one more second, the entire facility will melt down. Your sanity is about to go up in smoke. And then it happens. In a split-second act of emergency preservation, the system initiates a total system override. A massive, heavy iron breaker drops with the weight of a guillotine. The blackout is instantaneous. Every parasitic wire connected to your heart is severed in a single, clean stroke. The strobing red lights vanish. The screaming alarms die. The room goes dark, and the temperature begins to drop. It is cold, it is silent, and for the first time in your life, it is incredibly, devastatingly peaceful. This is the moment the world calls you cold. This is when they say you've changed, or that you've become distant, but they don't understand the physics of your soul. Your empathy didn't die. It was simply locked behind a wall of reinforced glass. The breaker fell to ensure that the core, the real you, could continue to exist. You didn't choose the darkness. Your brain chose to turn off the lights so you wouldn't burn the whole house down. So, here is the verdict you've been terrified to face. The world will tell you that you are cold. They will call you detached or even broken, but they are judging a survival mechanism they could never survive themselves. A sociopath was born with an empty room. Their heart never felt a spark, and it never will. But you were different. You were born with so much empathy, so much light, and so much fire that eventually the entire room caught fire. Your current apathy isn't a sign that you've lost your humanity. It is the charred remains of a house that was burned down by everyone you ever tried to save. You didn't stop caring because you became a monster. You stopped caring because the fire finally ran out of oxygen, and for the first time, you are breathing. The silence you live in now isn't a prison. It's your shield. You no longer feel the desperate need to translate your complex soul for people who speak a different language. You have stopped being a battery for the world, and you finally started being a sanctuary for yourself. But be warned, the darkness is peaceful, but it is also revealing. Now that the parasitic cables are severed, now that the static of other people's dramas has been muted, you are left with something far more intense. You are left alone in the vacuum with the one thing you've been running from your entire life, the sheer, unbridled speed of your own mind. What happens when the observer has nothing left to observe but the abyss within? We've stabilized the system, we've cut the wires, but the silence is about to get very, very loud. Welcome to the abyss. Subscribe to the archive. File 05 is waiting.